Welcome back to Hunter x Hunter 2011 anime review. This is part 3. In this video I'm talking about the two films that the series had. Yep. First up, it's Hunter x Hunter, The Phantom Troupe, which was the first film they released. First of two, surprisingly. Just like Yu Yu Hakusho, which apparently released only 2 movies. Anyways, the first film basically starts off sort of a summary of the actual series in a way, like a bridge version of it. The way this film's continuity goes is that it's implied it takes place, before Gon and Killua go to greet Alan. Yeah, it kind of looks like that. Though Gon doesn't have his rock, paper, scissors. He doesn't have his fist turning into like some fire energy thing and smashing through stuff. Killua doesn't have his electricity, but they still use Nen. Though it's also implied that this takes place after the events of the Phantom Troupe arc. Though Killua's fine, surprisingly. Yeah, he's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's kind of weird how to place this film in the following film, which I'll talk about in a minute. The main villain of this film, surprisingly, is a character everybody thought was actually dead. His name is Ogainti, I think his name is. Yeah, and apparently this guy was supposedly killed by Hitsuga. As mentioned, Hitsuga killed this guy during the course of the series and took his number and took his place in the Phantom Troupe. In the movie, they retcon that where he actually let him go, and it's implied that he killed him. Yeah, I should also point out though, in both these films, there are only 5 characters who appear in both films. Gon, Killua, Kurapika, Leorio, Hitsuga, and Biscuit. Yeah, Biscuit actually shows up during the credits of this film, so I kind of count her appearance in here as well. Though her appearance is basically just meant to set the Green Island arc. When this film came out during when the Green Island arc was airing in Japan. As far as I know, some of the following films were never dubbed in English, which I'm like, that's odd. Why? It just makes no sense. Heck, even before the Naruto Shippuden series ended, all 11 films have been dubbed in English. And yet for Hunter x Hunter, neither of the films have been dubbed in English. I don't know why. Yeah, it's a bit bizarre, to say the least. It's like there's no English dub for these films. So I had to watch these things with the sub, which I didn't have a really big problem with it. Because they're both good movies. And apparently this guy's ability, the guy who's main villain of Phantom, it's called the Phantom Rogue. That's the name of the film. Yeah, his ability is that he creates puppets of people who are dead and takes a copy of their hearts and just puts in these puppets. And these puppets have the ability to steal people's eyes just by looking at them. No, seriously, that's the puppet's ability. Though him creating puppets from people who are either apparently dead or they look like the actual real life thing, it sounds a lot like Sasori of the Red Sand from Naruto. Yeah, it sounds almost exactly like him. The whole thing of eternal light, like a lot of his dialogue, sounded a lot like the dialogue that was used for Sasori in the Naruto Shippuden series and of course the Naruto manga. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, in the main 4 actually do in fact do a lot of work in this film. Heck, during the course of the film, Gon and Killua lose their eyes. Yeah. Oh yeah, and apparently there's a representation of Killua's older brother, Ilamna, I think his name is. It's basically a play on the name Illuminati. Yeah, he's in the movie. Well, we see mainly a flashback where Killua basically is... it's implied as a flashback, though it's also a dream, of Gon killing some Mafia Don. Yeah, and apparently they were sleeping on an airship. Yeah. That's the weird thing about the Hunter x Hunter series. Apparently their version of airplanes is blimps. No idea why they thought this was a good... I have no idea. Because the whole thing with blimps being basically regular air transportation, that's been outdated in the real world since the 1940s. That's the only reason I think that Toshiro basically did that is because, well, he probably thought that, okay, let's use an outdated piece of technology as the main thing. And matter of fact, these airships, believe it or not, have actual airplane wings on the side. So I'm like, that's very odd. And during the course of the film, the entire Panther Troop, who basically are active at this point, though this is before they showed up in the Green Island arc because they don't have Killua's youngest sibling, the one who was a guy who dresses up as a girl. Yeah, he's not part of the group yet at this point, and so this kind of is implied to take place between the Phantom Troop arc and the Green Island arc in a way, but it's kind of confusing exactly the continuity when it comes to this particular film. One of the main characters of the film, who only appears in the name is Reds. Basically, so like Killua's younger brother, he dresses up like a girl. Reds, basically, when she first shows up, she dresses up like a boy. And Killua basically finds out she's a girl just by pushing her to the ground. Yeah. And then later on, basically, when a character who got killed off during the Panther Troop arc comes out, he comes back like he looks exactly like the way he is, he has the same ability. Yeah, and apparently this guy actually revived him just by stealing a copy of his heart, make a copy of his heart, and that's how he controls him. Yeah, and it's the same person. Heck, they even say, like, didn't Kurapika kill him? Yeah, they actually bring that up. So at least it's not just the audience for this film, basically, where the question, like, isn't he supposed to be dead? At least the characters acknowledge the fact that he died. As a matter of fact, he was actually one of 2 characters from the Panther Troop actually to die in the Panther Troop arc in the anime. In the manga, there was about 4 or 5 that get killed off. The only character to get killed off was Puka, I think her name is, the one with a long nose and has the ability to read people's memories. Yeah, she gets turned into a puppet as well, along with 3 of the Shadow Beasts, who were killed by the guy who was killed by Kurapika. Yeah, they come back as puppets, and they're easily defeated by the guys who, I think his name was Usopp. He got killed by his partner. Yeah, the one who basically is kind of like a samurai. Yeah, but the Phantom Troop themselves, they don't like the samurai guy. He only shows up like twice the whole film, and the Phantom Troop themselves only show up for like 1 scene, and like 3 of them actually do something. The rest of them do pretty much jack squat except just standing around. Hitsuga himself shows up in the film, and he doesn't do very much at all. Yeah, he does a little bit of fighting. He actually fights a puppet of the leader of the Phantom Troop, and he fights like one other person. That's really it. One of the puppets basically is actually one of Leorio's friends from his clan who was killed by the Panther Troop. And when he pretty much showed down, like during the scene when he's introduced, he steals Kurapika's eyes. Yeah. The puppet who poses as Killua's oldest brother, because he has 2 older brothers. One who's actually overweight. The other one is like pretty thin and it's got long black hair. Yep. Though for some reason I have no idea why this is. Excuse me. For some reason I have no idea why this is. Why in the world is he wearing a completely different outfit? Yeah, this is never explained in the film. If this is supposed to be in continuity with the series, why is his brother wearing a completely different outfit he never wears in the series? And when you see him from beginning to end of the series, he wears the same exact attire. There is no change. He does use his needles. Surprisingly, when he uses them, well, his puppet version, he just pulls them completely out of nowhere. It's like, oh, I guess the animators forgot the fact that this guy had frickin' needles. Yep, and he only uses needles maybe, a couple times when he's seen. Oh yeah, and this is also the puppet who steals Gon's eyes. And he described his eyes as very bright. Which kind of makes sense because Gon is a bright kid. Yep. Yeah, I did a little research on the Brits. It's implied that she has a thing for Gon, but it's never brought up in the sub version for some reason. I don't know if I missed or anything, but she dies along with her brother when I think it's supposed to be implied to be a church that they fight in, that the four main characters fight in, and it gets burned down. And the only reason why Phantom Troop are there because the guy was once a member of the Phantom Troop, and like Rouge said, basically, he also gets wrapped up, and Karacho, I think his name is, the leader of the Phantom Troop, he also gets wrapped up in Kurapika's chain, the one that covers his hand. Though for some reason, I'll get to basically about him in the second film in a minute. But the first one I thought was really good, and what I've heard about the film is that it's actually based on an unpublished story from the creator of Hunter x Hunter. So, it may not be original, but at least it's a good story. And the film itself is only like about 94 minutes? Not very long. At least unlike Yu Hakusho, where that first one was like 30 minutes. This one was a lot longer. The second film was pretty much about the same length. The second film is called The Last Mission, where the film basically kind of gives a story set in where the main villain is actually an old enemy of the chairman of the Hunter organization, the Hunter Association. Which is like, okay, that's actually quite something. And if I've heard from the film, it's very original. It's implied at this point for this film is that it takes place after the Greed Island arc, but before the Chimera Ants become basically a big threat. Basically, the main four characters, along with seeing Biscuit and Wing, and here's the thing, this is the only time these two have ever seen together in the whole entire franchise. Yeah, because it's mentioned in the manga that Biscuit is Wing's teacher. And this is the only time they've ever seen together. And she brings up the fact that he still basically does not. He half the time forgets to tuck his shirt in. Yep. It's just the way it is. And because it's subbed, they're just honorifics yet. And she's like, no honorifics for me. And Gon's like, I thought you said no, you don't need honorifics. I guess she kind of agrees. Leorio, basically, who's in the film, he shows up for one scene, and then he gets dropped in the sewer, shows up during the last 30 minutes of the movie. He does a little bit of fighting, and that's it. Out of the four main characters, he does the least amount in this movie. Kurapika, for some reason, he does use his chain. He uses it much later on in the movie. And unlike when he was seen at the end of the... because he doesn't show up during the Chimera Ant arc at all. Yeah, for some reason, he's absent. I hope it's not the same thing before. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's wearing a business suit, which he actually... I think at the time the movie came out, he was already wearing a business suit. He had stopped wearing his clan outfit that he was wearing throughout the entire series. He just wears a suit. And he still has his famous batons that he's known for using. Which he does fight one of the three henchmen of the main villain, whose name is Jed. Seriously, that's his name. And his henchman basically is a big muscular guy, a skinny guy with long black hair, and a green-haired woman, who actually is never stated exactly what exactly happens to her. It's implied she may have died, but she's never shown after, she basically uses her ability to hold the chairman hostage. And after she basically is sort of freed from that ability, it's never stated what happened to her. It's not stated that she died. She just stopped appearing after the chairman was freed. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, there's this really cool moment. Oh yeah, and one of Wing's students, Wing's student, the one who dresses in a martial arts attire. Yeah, he actually gets a chance to fight in the movie. He fights the grunts and the main villains of this movie. And along with Wing and Biscuit, it's like, okay, the other guy's been defeated, so I guess they can go on fighting. And Biscuit, for some reason, does not go through her muscular form. She just stays in the regular little girl form the whole movie. And it's nice to get a chance to see her actually participate in a regular fight in her normal form she's normally seen in Wing. First time we get a chance to see him fight at any point at all. And it's a really good fight. Heck, even Zepzu, I think his name is, he even gets a chance to fight as well. Even Melody, who also for some reason is wearing a suit, and she's still a bodyguard for Neon. Yeah, Kurapika and Melody are still Neon's bodyguards, and Neon shows up maybe 3 times the whole movie, where Kurapika's basically still her bodyguard. It's not stated exactly where her father is. Yeah, her father is never even mentioned in the movie, and I think that Neon gets maybe a couple lines at most. Though I have heard that currently in the manga, Kurapika has taken over her family's business and basically made it into a bodyguard company. Yeah, which is fine. It's actually a really interesting idea. Melody, for some reason, I think she gets 1 line of the whole movie, and she's seen us a few times in the movie. I'm glad the fact she made an appearance in the movie. But out of all of the group of people who work with Kurapika, she's the only one who shows up in the movie. That was my cousin. And her dog. Yep. So, yeah. First main villain is defeated at the end. And apparently, yeah, his ability is a user ability similar to Nen, called On. Yeah, it's his darkness ability. And he's defeated at the end. Apparently, On is basically powered by this guy's blood. And it's also revealed that Jed is an old sparring partner of the chairman.
That lady was going to ask me for money.
The movie ends quite nicely, and Hitsuga, despite being in the movie, he doesn't do very much. He does some fighting off screen, which I'm like, that's odd. Yeah, he takes out a whole group of basically escaped criminals off screen, which I'm like, I think that the viewers would have liked to see that, but nope. I guess we're not allowed to see that for some reason. But yeah, 2 really good movies. I'm trying to think though. I don't think there's anything else I could talk about with these movies, but they're 2 really good ones. They're both equally really good movies. In the case of the first film, you can watch it any point during the greet. I would say you probably watch it. You can watch these movies anytime you want to, because these movies are, I don't know if they're in canon or not. It's never stated. They do reference stuff from the canon in the first film. In the second film, there's a little bit of the canon basically referenced. In the second film, this one you can fit one a little bit more with the canon than with the first film. This one you can actually set I would say during the early episodes of the Khmer Ant arc, where before the Khmer Ants basically become more of a threat. Yeah, before they become a big threat, you can probably set it at that point. Oh, one other big thing about the second film. The Heavens Arena Tower makes a reappearance. And that's pretty much the main setting for the entire second movie. And I'm like, okay, bringing that back, that was a brilliant show of genius. But yeah, good movie nonetheless. I get both movies 9 out of 10. Great movies. Okay. That's it for this review. Stay tuned for the next episode, where I'm going to talk my final thoughts on the anime. What would I think that the anime should do if it ever does come back? And I'll also give my brief thoughts on the most recent chapter that came out of the Hunter x Hunter manga, which is chapter 364. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.